Well, good day, viewers. Today we have a 2009 Pontiac Torrent, and the customer reports that the car acts like it has a dead battery, that he apparently left it for a couple of days and then it started like there was nothing wrong. It's had a history of a parasitic draw. Last fall I worked on it and I disabled the rear wiper because the rear wiper system is not parked but was trying to park, and that was causing a significant parasitic draw. You can notice the wiper blade up in the, it should be down here actually, I believe, yes. And it's the wiper motor seized. So I pulled the fuse. Now we're going to scan it to see if there's any codes. It started just fine. It's been sitting for 4 days outside here, and it started just fine. But we're going to see if there's any codes in it. So battery voltage is a bit low. It's only 11.9 volts. So I'm going to put this on flash and dial it up to about 13.5 because I don't want to set fault codes for high voltage. I want to see if there's any low voltage codes in the computers when I scan it. So this is a new vehicle record. It should auto ID. Key is on. Battery maintainer on it. Pontiac. Automatic ID. I'm going to get the mileage. Well, I didn't get the mileage because the hood is open and I can't read the odometer, so I'm going to just continue to put it in after. So let's do a network code scan and see if there's any low voltage codes in any of the computers. That might help us to determine if we're dealing with a simple starter problem or a problem with battery voltage, a battery supply. Engine misfire detected. Knock sensor circuit, high voltage, bank 1. DGR open position performance. That's the end of the fault scan. Torque converter, torque delivered signal. Refer to OEM's P070600. That's a transmission code. Anti-lock brakes U. That's a network code U3000. Electronic control unit performance. Device ignition 1, circuit short to ground. Passenger presence system. But I don't see any low voltage codes. Oh, here's one. Device power 1, circuit voltage fault voltage below threshold. No transponder modulation, right front low tire pressure monitors, not combustion. Okay, let's go back into this. Usually the power steering will report low voltage too. Let's see if there's any freeze frame data attached to this. I doubt it. No. Display codes, troubleshooter. Well, that's kind of inconclusive. So we're going to check the battery cables and connections. Test the battery. So the battery cables don't look bad. They're tight. I didn't take them off. This battery's from 2019. 11/19 is the date on it. Let's connect my battery tester here. Let's see if we can test this thing. .05. Just had the charger on it for a few minutes. It's a regular battery. We're going to use CCA as a test, and it's 650, so I'm going to set it to 660. Replace battery. Measured 395 CCA. Okay, I got one more tester I'm going to try to see if I get the same results. So I bought this battery tester a little while ago, and just as a backup, enter. Battery test. Regular flooded battery. CCA 680, 675, 670, 650. Enter. Testing. Charge retest, it says. Internal resistance 6.97 milliohms, 11.84 volts. Charge and retest. So this one's saying that it's questionable, the other one's saying it fails. Well, I'm going to check it for a parasitic draw just to be safe, and then we'll go from there. I'm also going to check the starter relay terminal connections in case there's some oxidized terminals. So I'm going to start it up and check the charging system out before we disconnect the battery. .58, the headlights are on. Looks pretty flat, but let's take a look at the diode ripple. A little bit unstable voltage regulator performance, but the diode ripple looks okay. So we're going to set it up to do a parasitic draw test. So I like to install this disconnect switch between the negative post and the negative cable. Turn the switch on, start the vehicle up and run it, then shut it off, close the doors, open the windows, close the doors, take the keys out of the ignition, then set the ammeter up across these two posts, turn the switch on, or off I should say, which would open the switch and instantly put the current to the meter. So we're going to give that a shot. So it's been at least a half an hour and you can see we still have 0.345, which is 345 milliamps of current draw, which is way too much. Maximum is 50. Usually like to shoot for under 30. Now this is recording 1 minute per screen. To go across the screen here, it takes 1 minute, so I can actually pause this and then replay it and go back 1 minute at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, it's like right here, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. See, there was actually higher at 30, so it went from 500 milliamps. Looks like it went up. So 39 minutes and it's still at 347 milliamps. So that'll definitely kill the battery. I don't know if I should wait any longer or not. Yeah, it's still 347. I'll wait another 10 minutes. So after 38 minutes, it did drop to 198 milliamps. I tested each one of these fuses for voltage drop. I tested each one to see which had power, and I put a black marker line on the ones that are live. And I tested every fuse for a voltage drop, including popping the caps off. I dropped one of the caps on these maxi fuses, or these J fuses, and none measured a voltage drop. And then I realized there's another fuse panel under the dash, so I had to open the door and trip the latches, which I should have done in the first place. Open the door, trip the latch on both sides so it thinks the doors are closed. Now we got to wait another 39 minutes. So testing at the fuses under the dash for voltage drops. first fuse here. Come on. 0.01. Second fuse. It's 1.2 millivolts. What is that fuse? Let's see. Okay, so that's that one. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's fuse 15. HVAC RFA. 10 amp. Well, I haven't waited half an hour yet, and there was still 350 milliamps of draw. It hasn't dropped to, there's 1.2 millivolts on that fuse. Well, I'm going to go down the list. So it's actually fuse 15. 15 is HVAC RFA. I'll have to look at the circuit. So we're back down to 188 to 190 milliamps, which is too much. Yeah, let's go back on 500. And the only voltage drop is across fuse 15. So HVAC and RFA, we're going to see what that feeds. So I'm on Identifix information site for fuse 15, 10 amp fuse. And if I scroll down, it feeds the remote door lock receiver. That would be the RFA. It feeds the HVAC controller, and it feeds fuse 16. Circuit pin 16 at the DLC connector, and I need to give up for tonight. Guess what I've got plugged into the DLC connector? I've got my Veris Bluetooth VCM adapter. Sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees. So chances are that's causing a draw. Well, easy enough to eliminate. Just unplug it and see what happens to the draw on our meter. Oh, imagine that. 10 milliamps. Well, if anything, that was an exercise in how to track down a parasitic draw and a waste of about an hour, because there's nothing wrong with this car as far as a parasitic draw is concerned. The battery may be compromised. One meter says the battery needs to be replaced. The other one says charge and retest. So I think I'm going to discuss this with the customer. That battery is about 3 years old. I don't think it's going to have any warranty on it, but I'll ask him. Something to watch for on these cars where GM wisely put the ECM on top of the battery tray. So the ECM just snaps out of the battery tray and you lay it back in here. And I would strongly suggest to use something to secure it back here, because what will happen is you'll turn your back and this thing will fall back onto the battery post. And if it falls on the positive post, it shorts out and it can damage the actual controller. So tuck it, make sure it's tucked back there good. Even put a bungee cord on it if you're going to work with the battery connected. If it falls on this positive post, in the case of that aluminum case of the ECM touches it, you're going to take out the ECM. I've seen it done. So I've trickle charged this battery for 24 hours at 2.5 amps, and we're going to retest it now. I've taken the surface charge off by putting the headlights on for 1.5 minutes. Wow, that pulled down pretty fast, 11.24 volts. It's a regular battery. CCA is 600, I believe. Actually, it's 650. Well, we'll go 640. Let's see what happens here. Now the battery that came up with this one, look, it measured 115 cca. Okay, I'm going to change this battery, but the one that I got is only 600 cca, and that's what they say is supposed to be in here. I'm going to double check with the parts supplier. So I usually like to confirm the new battery. Well, 12.87 volts, that's pretty good. This one's 600. Test at 674, that's good. 12.87 volts. Okay to retest? No, we're good to go. Well, we'll hope that that's all there is, unless there's something that's periodically coming on, or unless the customer is leaving that GPS system plugged into the cigarette lighter. Thanks for watching.